Hey, good evening, Maria, back with another video. It's 9:21 p.m. It is April 14th, and it is Thursday evening, and I am getting ready for bed, but I thought I'd come on and make a video just really quick to let everyone know, the TIs, that is, how I've been doing. I have to say that I've been really busy lately, so I really haven't had time to think too much about what happened. That doesn't mean that it doesn't come up every once in a while, but I wanted to make this video because and call it pointless questioning, mainly because, since all of that happened, I did go through a period where I was constantly wondering, like, what in the world would make someone do such a thing, but I do understand human nature, and that's not in any way excusing that behavior in any way at all. But I also understand that, people tend to be, by nature, very evil and lacking in morals and good judgment. And that's not saying that, oh, I'm so great and that I've never done anything wrong, but I do understand that that's the sort of mentality is very common. And it's more likely that a person is going to behave in this way more so than somebody actually being concerned about the outcome of what's going to happen or the severity of the issue. They're not going to think about that. They think about the group activity, the participation in it. If people can get away with doing mischievous or wicked things, especially if they feel like they have some sort of endorsement or some sort of improvement, or not improvement, but like permission to do so, they will do it. This has been proven several times. I did a video about a year and a half ago about how people behave when they feel as though they can get away with it. And this is the sort of behavior and you can expect, you should expect from people. And the funny part about it is that um, I had mentioned one time that I had worked for a person who believed that people were fundamentally good inside. And I thought that was kind of ridiculous. I mean, when he said that, I just kind of rolled my eyes like, oh my God, how blind can you be? But this is the predominant belief. People, even though they see, the contrary to what they say they believe, they see this acted out on a daily basis, like to where this little idea or this belief has been debunked right in front of their face over and over and again, but they will continue to believe this. I wonder, is it because it brings them a sense of comfort? Does living in denial make people feel better, or maybe, I don't know what it is, but I've always considered myself to be a realist and somebody who just looks at things the way it is instead of how I would want it to be. And it took me a long time to get to that point because there's a lot of it is a part of our conditioning, and what I would I would refer to as programming. Like, we see things on TV where everything has like a great outcome, and there's kindness and there's warmth and this sort of stuff. But in reality, of course, it's exactly the opposite. We would like to believe that people are good at heart, but the reality is they're not. And that doesn't mean that, you know, people should walk around and be angry and bitter and hate other people. But you have to be polite and you have to be caring, to a certain degree. I try to be, okay? I try to put myself in their shoes. How would I act if I had limited understanding of human nature? How would I behave if I felt pressured to be in a social group? Because I know that that is a lot of times plays a huge role in it. I know that someone who has my morals often is looked upon as a stick in the mud. Somebody who's just like, oh, she doesn't want to have any fun. And it's not that I don't like having fun. It's not that I don't like telling jokes, because I do. I've always been known to be somewhat of a goof, somebody who likes to laugh a lot. And you know, in the past, I laughed a lot, you know, but I've never really laughed at other people's expense, you know, at the expense of somebody else. But you know, I enjoy having a sense of humor, but I don't bully other people. And so, but I do understand that in groups of people, what bonds and unites them oftentimes is a common enemy. And this is one of the main things that a lot of people do in order to gain approval from other people. But see, a wise person would sit back and understand that you're living or standing on shaky grounds when you are surrounding yourself with people who rely on gossip to fuel a friendship or fuse together a relationship, mainly because a person who gossips is never going to be a good source of friendship, because the very person when they're sitting there talking about you, when you're behind, when they get a chance to be away from you, I'm pretty darn sure they will be talking about you. This is just how people are. They don't really have a sense of loyalty or anything. So I can't say that I'm disappointed in the behavior of the people who participated in this. Many of these people who did, I haven't seen in years. And you can't really be disappointed in a person's behavior when you didn't have any expectations of what they were supposed to act like in the first place. The people who got involved in this, I haven't seen in years, like in years, and haven't thought about them in years. So, you know, it just kind of struck me as odd that they would go and do something like that. But I do understand that nowadays gang stalking, um, and all kinds of, what do you call it, covert harassment, forms of harassment, is very common. And um, I think it would be great if somebody had like a seminar on this sort of thing. They really should. I mean, I think that there's educational and employment educational programs that talk about all kinds of harassment, but this is something that is affecting millions of people. And it surprises me that this has not been a topic that's been discussed in workplaces. I know that they give you bits and pieces, like they give you information about domestic stalking. They give you bits and pieces about sexual harassment. They give you bits and pieces about racial harassment. But put it all together and talk about the internet. Talk about how people put other people under surveillance, or how they bug other people's computers, or this sort of stuff, and really talk about the issue of gang stalking or human trafficking for that matter. It would be nice if some company would talk about these things and put it in a form of a seminar. And like I said, you know, um, the sad part about it is that training, to me, I think a lot of people show up to training just to say that they did, or they don't fully understand it. Because, like, I brought up the subject of sexual harassment before, and how, you know, people fall into this behavior no matter how many times they've been, you know, educated on the matter. Or when it does happen, they don't even recognize it or realize what they're doing is a form of sexual harassment. So, you know, I'm aware of that. I live in a world where people are lawless and they lack judgment. So, um, when you understand those sort of things, then it does become pointless. It's a pointless thing to sit here and ask yourself questions as to why would somebody do this? Why the fuck wouldn't they do this? Okay, because this is what people do. Okay, and so, but my message is that I know when you are dealing with gang stalking, their ultimate goal is for you to change your life, or maybe they want to pick on you because you don't see things the way that they do. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm proud that I don't. I couldn't live like that. Like, you know, I know as a teenager, I think I did. I went along with the gossip and stuff like that. But then I felt, as I got older, I realized why that is a bad thing. I certainly would never go into bullying somebody or trying to, manipulate their life in any way, especially as an adult, And we do a lot of things when we're younger, a teenager, young adult, or whatever. Mainly because, like I said, you're the majority of the people around you do it. You normalize it, but I choose not to normalize those things. I look at them as common, but they should not be considered in my mind as normal. Because when I think of normal, I think of, okay, sneezing is normal, okay? Coughing, if the water goes down the wrong way, that's normal. Certain things are normal, to be expected, understandable, and they're not something that causes consequences. I look at gossiping to the point and being intrusive as something that is abnormal because it has an adverse effect all the time. But I still deal with a little bit of anger, because I feel as though it harmed me in a lot of ways. And then when I think about the devastation of what happened to people that I used to know, and that you would be betrayed by them. And like I said, even though I haven't seen a lot of these people in like years, um, and I didn't really have any expectations of their behavior either, really. I mean, because like, why would I? I don't really think about or see them or anything like that. But it's just the fact that you could just literally be sitting in your own little space, minding your own business, and then people would want to come in and attack you. Be very careful out there, because there's a lot of resentful, angry, bitter people who are just waiting to, spout their venom off at you. You know what I mean? So you got to be very careful about stuff like that. And so that leads me to how I am today. I just, I do. I want to be a decent person, and I don't ever want to harm anyone. I do reject a lot of the standards that exist in society, because I don't believe that that this sort of behavior is acceptable. And it's my goal in life to not be a part of that. So anyway, without going into too much about this, and because religion to me is not an important part of my life, and I don't believe that religion belongs in. I think it's not that I don't believe God in general belongs in the workplace, because some people really want to kind of bring in a certain element of spiritual, maybe gratitude, or show gratitude or whatever. Like sometimes I've seen people at work, they're grateful, like for maybe they had a little success or something, so they want to get together and they want to be thankful and say a prayer or something, and that's fine, okay? But it's when people try to force you into a certain denomination, or try to force you to see things based on how they view it or whatever, and that that does not ever belong in a workplace, especially because we do have the freedom of religion in this country. So anyway, I'm okay. I'm okay. So but I will say, I will deal with this a form of trauma for the rest of my life. Um, and it's a reality. It's a realistic thing to go through, because I was dealing with something that was very abnormal, unusual, and basically I was a victim of a hate crime. And I don't think anybody who would go through something like that would be normal, completely 100% normal. But I still think that I show goodness to people. I still think that I still try to empathize with people. Like, I don't want to be a hateful, resentful person. I will always be able to try to put myself in their shoes. Even people who I consider to be somewhat wicked, you know what I mean? I'm thinking about some of the people who got involved in this, who claim to be a part of a religion. I will say that people's negative, evil, wicked human behavior is always going to supersede their religious beliefs regardless. And, you know, a lot of people do. And I don't want to sound like a broken record by any means, but I do know that most people, when you look at their religious convictions, that they are very, very fragile, because most people just kind of belong to a religion just because it's traditional or expected of them, and it's very difficult. I have yet to meet somebody who truly even bothered to walk in the footsteps of Jesus Christ. I mean, I rarely have seen that. Okay, I will say that when I was younger, when I had my friend Amanda, I would say Amanda tried to live up to those sort of standards. I think that she wanted to be a good person overall, but that didn't stop her from, you know, saying a little off-colored things every once in a while about people who didn't belong to her religion. Um, and sometimes I think religion kind of makes people arrogant, you know, because in a lot of people's mind, you know, they have the truth, and they look down on other people because um, they believe that they're living wrong, you know, and so there's a certain danger that comes along with religion that can, and obviously there is a danger because my life was in jeopardy for like few years. But anyway, um, I'm gonna wrap up this video. I'm getting a little tired, and I should be tired really, which is good. It's good to work yourself till you're tired. And why do I say this? Because it is therapy for the soul. You know, and you know what they say about idle hands, because I obviously there's so many of the perpetrators who were involved in this who obviously have idle hands, too much time in their hands, and when you do that, you tend to lose focus and direction and start behaving in bad ways. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. It is indeed a pointless thing to constantly wonder why. Why did somebody go into a building and shoot people up? Why did, you know, somebody steal this? Why did somebody go out and rape this person? Because humans are wicked. You know, to the core, they are. They're wicked. And that's what I'm saying, you know, uh, to hate people, like I said, but you know, you got to understand that it's not. I don't believe it's like the first instinct for a person to do the right thing. I think it's especially, you know, considering how we are raised and what they've been exposed to. Most people really don't know what it means to have any morals or to care about their fellow man, you know. So, with that in mind, you know, I choose to be very autonomous and just kind of focus on myself and work towards things that are going on in my life. And you know, you hope for a better outcome, you know, but everything that I choose or to do or look forward to in my life, I choose that on my own. I don't, you know, and unless of course I meet somebody who's a decent person, and then, you know, you develop a friendship with that person. But I will say that, you know, it's pointless to sit here and think about the greatest friend in the world and blah 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 blah, because I'm not saying that that person doesn't exist, but I won't be surprised if that person ever rolls around and rolls into my life, mainly because of the way that, you know, things are. That's just life, you know. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope everyone has a good evening. I am very tired. I'm going to go lay my head down and rise up in the morning. And I hope you have a pleasant evening. Take care. Good night.